Hey everyone, welcome to another review here on Go Mango.
No!
Alright, as always, I'm your host of Frozen Stratos. Here with me today we have
Cinder Blaze.
my dude, welcome back. On today's episode, we're going to be reviewing episode 5 of Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. We've got comments from you that we're going to be talking about, but before that, let's dive into our thoughts. And I thought, yeah, this is I going into it, I was hoping for a little more. I was expecting a little more. I didn't get quite what I wanted. And it really comes down to Kaito, our main character. Um, he's not too strong,
No,
gotta say.
honestly, whenever he's not in his Zenkaiger suit, I just don't like him on screen. He's a bit, he's a bit cringe for me, but it
Yeah.
is a kids show, so I have to put that in the front of my mind, like as a filter
Mhm.
for whenever I see him on screen. It's like, maybe like it works for the kids, and if they enjoy it, then I'm not gonna make a big fuss about it.
Sure.
But for me, it's just like he's a bit much. He doesn't seem like an actual human
Mhm.
character, and I think that with some of our recent reds, they did feel a lot more, relatable in that
Yeah.
sense. And I think they did try to like have a little arc for him in this episode where he finds out that the Kakainoids were the ones who may have been involved with his parents' disappearance, and we kind of see him like kind of
Mhm.
outrage and kind of deal with that. But even even for that, I thought it was kind of weak because we've had like hysterically like not bad Red Rangers, but like the ones where like the drama doesn't quite like work. For me, like some of like Lucky's episodes,
Yeah.
they
Sure.
didn't like fit well together,
Yeah.
but I felt like they were a bit more well executed
Mhm.
than some of these
'Cause
episodes
I
or this
agree.
episode. Yeah,
In Lucky's case, sometimes he had some really cool stuff to say. The one that always comes to mind is the episode with Washi Pink, where these people are letting the bad guys take away their kids' dreams, and then Lucky says, "Well, if you take away their dreams, what's the point in like living at all?" So there are some interesting things that he has to say, or at least like there's some neat themes to explore that he went through. But with Kaito, we almost had well, we did have a good moment of the somberness when he was kept up, and then it was characterized with the grandma saying, sometimes having more information makes you worry even more. And I feel like that could have carried on into a way more mature way, but we fell back into just his overzealousness, and I'm not there yet. I'm not there with his character yet. I'm not like obviously it's never going to get realistic and it's never going to feel realistic, but the way he processes things, um and I know everyone does it in a different way. It's just it isn't relatable. It doesn't feel quite like what people would do, what
yeah.
anyone how anyone would react.
Like in that scene with his grandmother, I felt like her grief felt a lot more,
Yeah,
like real. And when we kind of like get him into the mix, it just doesn't feel right, you know?
because
Like this isn't,
he's not making like the correct connections, I guess. He's got a one track mind. He does the thing, and we know it's not gonna like work out, and it's not entertaining.
yeah,
And
he I feel like we're gonna be going like off on Kaito's his name for this episode,
yeah,
but I think like it's gonna be a real important thing because he, he acts like a giant kid. And I
yeah,
think that the way they're structuring this episode, it kind of required him to be a bit more of an adult because, like, this
yeah.
guy lost his parents, like, relatively, when he
Hmm.
was young. And just to see that impact, it's almost like we wanted to see that impact, later on in his life. And now he's
Hmm.
reflecting back and he's kind of like, trying to dig back to the roots of like that anger and frustration that he had.
Hmm.
But it feels like he's still a child and he's kind of like getting angry about that, and like he's an 8-year-old like, they know where they are, I'm gonna go and get them, I'm gonna go and fight them. It just was just like, you gotta like relax a little bit there. And honestly, like if it wasn't for, or do you have anything else to say with about Zenkaiger before I like
I
jump ship?
just I feel like we're switching gears into the same place, but I feel like there were elements in his story, like the base level story, that could have worked. It's just the portrayal that didn't quite hit, because we could have had the same scenes. Like he could have lashed out and tried to and like overextended in a fight, right?
Yeah,
As opposed to, I guess he did overextend. It wasn't portrayed in a relatable way. And I
yeah,
don't know if kids would even relate to it or understand it in the same way. But I'm not a child, so I wouldn't know.
yeah. Like if it wasn't for Juron, I
Yes.
think this episode would have been like a lot worse, probably like abysmally bad, to be honest,
Yeah.
because our the rest of the team wasn't really doing anything. Like they were just like they were so detached from the rest of the episode. If you could
Yeah.
have taken them out completely, it wouldn't have changed much.
I
But
agree. And you said something during the watch along that I wanted to bring back up. When it was those three, you said we need somebody to ground these guys. And
yeah,
I feel like that's Juron, and he was just missing from that whole portion. He was there to help mitigate the disaster of Kaito's whole thing. And we did get to sit there. Like, granted, we sat there and waited for the other guys to like come up with a solution that didn't work, but like we never get to have our character stew in his failures and have to like see it constantly. Like they fell asleep and woke up the next day next to the people that they failed,
yeah. I
which
mean,
is
they did touch up on that. He's like,
yeah.
man, like I'm supposed to be protecting these people, and honestly, it did that line, despite being good on paper,
Hmm.
just didn't work in that scene for me. Because like he doesn't show that same passion towards like saving people that
I
we've
agree.
seen. I think Juron and Gaon have shown more of that in the series than he
Hmm.
has. I think it feels like he's doing it more for the clout and because he just happened to be in the right time, right place, have the right parents, like stuff like that.
It's
Uh,
interesting that you say he's doing it for the clout, because I like his main motivation is being the first to do something. And it's a very shallow goal, and I feel like maybe it's just the way it's portrayed through, translation or whatever, or maybe it's just like a cultural thing, like I'm not getting it, but it's not noble. And as you were saying, like I never felt that sense that he sought out um to save people more so than he sought out to be the first to do something. I mean, I get that a few times, like plenty of times, he's saved people. Like we've seen it happening, and he's make taking active steps to do so, but he's never like affirmed that with anything.
yeah, it didn't seem like too like integral to his character. He's just like,
Yeah,
well, he is the good guy, so he is going to be saying
yeah,
the good
yeah,
guy lines, but it doesn't feel like I don't feel like him caring for any specific people. Maybe
yeah.
if we do have the opportunity to have some, you know, like characters of the week that they can bond to within the city or something like that might
Mhm.
turn that around. So I'm not gonna dwell on it too much.
Yeah.
Um, Sushi villain, he was all right, but uh,
I I wanted to be more. I wanted to like him more.
yeah, same. But
I thought they'd be spitting out more sushi facts, and to be fair, we did get the, oh hey, this is a tray.
yeah, uh, it feels weird. Like for this series, like I kind of expected to be like zany and like fun, and not like to
Hmm.
be taken like too seriously. But I don't think it's found like that right like balance, or maybe like the chemistry for me just kind of like
Mhm.
off. Like I don't get this humor as
The one joke that landed really well, or the one concept that landed really well, was him using the Q Ranger medal or the gear, which
yeah, yeah.
completely unprompted. Like I don't know what he was about to try to do with that one, but maybe it was just luck that he put that one into the set and then used it.
Yeah.
I love that. If you need random bullshit to fix your problem, absolutely use Q Ranger. I love that as like obviously they're not going to be using it all the time, but like if they need some BS to get them from point A to point B, I think that's a really good use of it.
Yeah.
So mad props to them on
I
that.
will say this, like their homages to previous Sentai is
Yeah.
pretty well done.
Hmm.
So I think if they do like a little bit more, not like too much to where it's overbearing, like
Hmm.
where Geo had at some points, if they just kind of like stick with stuff like that, I think that's one thing that at least Kaito is pretty good at emulating. Like that
Hmm.
same energy. Like
Yeah.
he did nail like Lucky's enthusiasm.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that the anniversary stuff hasn't bled in yet. Like, we not only had character introduction episodes, we now have a status quo episode that didn't get futzed around with by, oh, hey, guess who's coming back this week? Oh, hey, guess what suit we brought out of the warehouse to show up here? Like, it's nice that they want to tell a story and will be using the backdrop of Sentai eventually. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's great. I appreciate it.
yeah, solid stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Episode could have been stronger, but
Yeah.
it's not like that in the world, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next episode. Alex, do you have anything else before we head into comments?
no, we do not.
All right. So we have our first comment from Basil Eldo, who I don't believe I've seen before. So welcome in. He says, I really love this episode as it had a lot of humor and comedic relief scenes. And I really want, maybe in the future episode, to hopefully explore the other Sentai's parallel worlds. I'm sure we'll get there. Obviously, they're not going to set that up and then suddenly not do anything with it. But oh man, that bait and switch would be hilarious.
I could easily see them never visiting a Sentai world.
That'd be fun. Oh, dude, please. That would be hilarious.
Like we're gonna have like Ice World, like Fish World, a bunch of like
Yeah.
at the final, you know, like
Hmm.
penultimate episode, the Cat World, like
Will they
stuff
make
like that.
friends with the villain?
Yeah.
All right. This next one comes from Ryugono. What is up? He says, this episode was all right, I guess. I did enjoy Juran and Kaito's talk when it came to Kaito getting his parents back and the revelation that Juran's family is also gone. But apparently, according to him, it's normal for most people in Kikaitopia. So I guess when you reach a certain age, your family just leaves you. Left as in they passed away, I assume. Because that's, how life works. Also, we know all the Kakainoids are living with Kaito now, but the thing is, were they living anywhere before then? I mean, we can rule out Vroon. He was in the Toji Tendo base, but what about Juran, Gaon, and Majin? Were they just hobos? Robo-hobos, if you will? I don't know. That thought just crossed my mind when I was watching the episode. I don't know. I don't have any answers for you. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing you've brought up. I don't know that they'll ever explore it,
Yeah.
but we'll see. They could, because it is interesting that their home merged, and yet none of their buildings came with it. Did there? Did
I don't
anyone?
think
Hmm.
so, but they're not gonna dwell on that. And I
Yeah.
don't it's a little bit weird that they haven't made any bonds with any other humans before meeting Kaito. So
I disagree. Like, it's
I mean,
early
like
enough.
Juron did, but
I don't know. Like, there are plenty of other Kikai hanging out with other people. Majin, she's antisocial, so I get that. She didn't, she wanted to find someone familiar. Juron was hanging out with other people. I'm sure Gaon was a creep to a lot of people, so they wanted nothing to do with him. And then Vroon was up on the ship. Whether or not that helps or hurts any sort of living accommodations, I have no idea. But Um, lastly, we have Yuki Miyazaki, who says, this episode is both fun and enjoyable. We got a bit more information about how the Kakainoid came to Earth. Also, the fact that Kaito acts really childish in the beginning portion, although still is at the end trying to force himself to infiltrate the Toji Tendo while piggybacking Barashitara, show us how worried he is about his parents. The sushi joke was funny for me, and I don't want to find out what would happen if you get wasabi all over your skin. The Kyuranger Lucky joke is hilarious, although Toei probably can't CG a bird to pop the balloons, so instead they use a cartoony bird to pop it, which is off-putting. That was strange, but they were doing wacky and zany at that point. I was fine with it. But you do bring up something that I did want to mention, the CG, because we never had that blank white wall for a fight scene this episode.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, I don't remember it. So that was neat. I guess I appreciate that. Um yeah, anyway, so by the way, just want to let you know, YouTube tells us that there are 5 comments here, but I am only seeing 3 and Alex is only seeing 3. I looked it up on, I tried to find them, but I only found 3. If I missed your comments, very sorry. Just reply to the review and we'll do our best to make sure it happens in next week's episode. But until then, that was this episode. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this episode, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to hear more from us each week. Once again, tell us in the comments down below what you thought about our thoughts about your thoughts about this episode, or if your thoughts didn't make it in, let me know. I need to know, because otherwise I don't know why it said 5 comments and only showed me 3. While you're down there are links in the description down below to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as the hashtag Stop Asian Hate, or Asian Violence resources. There are those down there in the description. Alex is having a rough time right now. I have no idea what's going on, so why don't you guys keep it?
Yep. See you later.
What's wrong with your face? Are you okay?
Yeah.